Good evening, listeners. You're tuned in to the Ghostly Broadcast, Paranormal Station. Here on my farm, where our testimonies are beamed out to the world. A family vacation is an innocent time of growth and reflection. It is a time to relax and bond with your closest loved ones in new settings. Away from the mundane and boring routines we settle into during our busy lives. However, leaving the safety and comfort of home carries a risk. Often, that risk is unfounded, and all we get from our vacations are lovely memories and souvenirs. But on rare occasions, sometimes our experiences are terrifying and sinister. Tonight, we'll hear testimony from those whose vacations in North America were interrupted by supernatural occurrences. Our first testimony. Dear Timothy, I'm writing to you because I have to know the truth. I have to see whether I'm crazy or not, and maybe getting this down on paper will help. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I, along with our teenage daughter, were taking a trip up to Great Falls. It was a long drive, but it was fun. Road trips were always our favorite way to vacation, saving us money in the long run. The first hotel that we'd meant to stay at had sold our room because we hadn't put a deposit down. I argued with the receptionist, but my wife told me to forget it and that we'd find another place. Eventually, after driving a little further down the road, we came across a motel. It was run down and looked deserted, but we had no choice. It was late, we were all tired and wanted some sleep. When I spoke with the guy at the desk, he told us there were only 2 rooms left, and neither were family rooms. Of course they're not. I grumbled as I begrudgingly paid for both rooms. I wasn't going to subject my poor daughter to sharing a bed with her parents. After explaining the situation to my family, we decided my wife and daughter would share the twin room, and I'd stay alone in the other one. I slept on top of the sheets for fear of the bed bugs. I didn't really get much sleep anyway. The unsettling feeling of being in an unfamiliar place always made it hard for me to sleep in hotels. Being in this disgusting, creepy place made it even worse. Some fever dreams later, dawn emerged, and I felt like shit. I was cranky, exhausted, and in a mood to call the whole thing off, but I knew my wife and daughter would be cheery and optimistic enough to make me feel better. Usually, they are the first to rise, and they have to wait for me. This time, it was me who was first up. I actually waited an hour before they eventually emerged. I'd showered, checked out, and waited for them by the car. Right before I was about to head up to their room to check on them, they came out. Both of them looked miserable and disheveled. My bubbly, prim, and proper daughter, who put care and attention into her looks, looked like she'd rolled right out of bed in clothes she'd slept in. My wife looked no better. I asked them how they were and how they slept, making light-hearted jokes, but I was met with scowls and grunts. They didn't want to hear any of it. I figured they just had as rough a night as I had, and we carried on our vacation. Things only got stranger after that. For the rest of the trip, all I could get out of them were one-word answers, and none were good. The 2 of them seemed so miserable. Their bright optimism was gone. It only got worse when we got home. Within days, my daughter was suspended for getting into a fistfight with her best friend. She's known this girl since 1st grade, and now they're bitter enemies. My wife was just indifferent to it all. She doesn't say a word. She's like a stranger living in my house. She hasn't returned to work, and I'm pretty sure her boss fired her weeks ago. All she does is stare out of the window. The last straw was the other night. I heard a commotion downstairs, so I got up to investigate. In the middle of my living room floor, my daughter was thrusting a kitchen knife over and over into the bloody body of her cat. She loved that cat, Timothy, and I watched her butcher that poor thing. I don't know what's happened to my family, but they're not my family anymore. They've been taken from me. I drove out to Montana to find answers, but the motel we stayed at didn't exist. It's gone, like it never was. I don't know what to do. Brian. Thank you for your testimony, Brian, and I am sorry for your loss. Guard yourselves, listeners. A human body in our physical realm can serve as a vessel for spirits whose intentions we can't ever know. Our second testimony. Dear Timothy, it's been quite a while now, but this is something that I vividly remember from my childhood. My family and I were staying in a rented RV in Yosemite for a vacation when I was a kid. Me, my parents, my younger brothers, and our Labrador, Ben. It was a picture-perfect summer getaway. We climbed up to the upper falls. We saw a family of black bears from a distance. For what it's worth, I have some great memories of it, until we lost Ben. We'd driven to a remote part of the national park and were parked on a deserted campsite. It was just us with the place all to ourselves. We'd settled around a little fire pit while we played some games and ate some s'mores. My dad was playing his guitar, and my parents let us stay up later than usual. I remember feeling a little sting on my neck. I slapped at the bug that had bitten me. When I looked at my hand, I saw the squished body of the biggest mosquito I'd ever seen. The blood it had drunk from me was spilt out onto my palm with the rest of its guts. That's a big one, my mom remarked. Here, I'll get you some more bug spray. My mom started to root around in her bag, but then Ben started to bark and howl into the night, seemingly at nothing at all. But between his loud howls and barks, we heard it. A buzzing coming through the trees. A black, swirling mass of insects emerged from the tree line, so thick that you couldn't see through it. They were on us in a fraction of a second. The bites hurt like needles all over my body. They were biting at my eyelids, my ears, everywhere. We dropped everything and ran inside the RV, my dad slamming the door behind us as we did. While my mom and dad beat off the few giant bugs that had entered with us, me and my brothers cowered on the floor, covering our faces and crying. I remember hearing Ben barking outside. He was snarling and growling, but then his gruff bark turned into whimpers and yelps. I leapt up to the window and called out to him. Behind a curtain of swirling black bugs, I saw him writhe and kick. After a minute, he stopped moving and making any noise. My dad wasn't waiting around. He drove us all straight to the emergency room. I remember the doctor remarking humorously, "Wow, it looks like you guys have been eaten alive." After we were treated, we went home. I wanted to go back for Ben, but my parents said it was too dangerous. We buried his favorite toy in the yard instead of whatever was left of him. Despite all the creams and ointments, I still carry some of the scars of the bites. We all do. Permanent reminders of that one vacation that we never talk about. The one when we lost Ben. Yours, Grace. Thank you for your testimony, Grace. Nature itself is a powerful force. It isn't so much connected with the supernatural as one and the same with it. There are parts of it we can't imagine to understand. Our third testimony. Dear Timothy, my name is Kate, and I'm an orphan. I had a family of which I am sure, but I don't remember them. I don't even know them. I'd been found at the side of the road not far from Maryville, Tennessee. Half dead with a head injury, I was taken to hospital and recovered after a month-long coma. I had no idea who I was, how I got there, or where I was from. A little lost girl with a rough-hewn backpack. The only thing on it to give me a clue was an embroidered name. Kate. For all I knew then, it might not have even been my name. The only thing inside it was a little homemade stuffed elephant. My life was essentially my own after that. I was bounced around foster families and orphanages, until I eventually managed to land a scholarship and get myself the freedom to take on the world alone. Like I'd always had to. There are times when I wished I'd died out there in the woods with whoever took me out there. But I'd settled. I had a job, a home of my own, and a loyal cat. I was still missing something, though. Like an itch at the back of my head, I had to know. Starting at the top of the world, I took the gold mine trailhead deep into the wooded mountains. Through Cades Cove, past the old cemeteries and historic landmarks, and into Tremont. I went deeper and deeper. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was determined to seek answers. Days of walking later, I crossed a creek and came across an abandoned homestead. The mountain range is covered with them, and who knows how many old cabins have rotted in the woods. Stepping across the threshold of the cabin door, I was hit with a musty smell of damp, rotting wood. The place was obviously 19th century, and I took my map out to mark it down for the historical societies to come and confirm it. When I laid my map on the table, I saw a single word carved into its surface. Kate. I tore the place apart. I swept the table clean, looking for any more carvings. I ripped open drawers and pawed through the contents to try to find anything else, any clues. Then I looked at the bed. I hadn't noticed it, but tucked under the pillow was a little envelope. My name, in delicate cursive, was written on the back. I opened the letter and read it. Dear Kate, I hope you find this letter when you wake up. Your father was the genius, not me, so I hope I have done this right. I'd have followed that man into anything. Through time and space itself, and I did. We came back to escape the modern world and live the frontier life. It was silly, I suppose, especially when we lost your father to cholera. As for me, I won't be able to come with you. We only had enough for one return trip. One person. You, my beautiful daughter. You will be where we started, in the time we came from, if I can manage to do this correctly without your dad. You'll never be alone, my dear. You have a grandmother in New York. Her address is on the back, and I will always be with you. Love, Mom. After a lifetime of questions, I finally found my answer. An impossible circumstance. I'd been born over 100 years ago, here in this cabin, and flung through time to where my parents came from. I have no idea how or why, but I'd been cursed by their decisions. I was left alone to fend for myself through a sorry twist of fate. I went to my grandmother's address. In the 20 years it had been since I'd been found, the place had been bulldozed, and my grandmother had passed away a decade ago. Somehow, none of this has given me the closure that I wanted. I'm angry and bitter. I know my mother meant well, but all these years that I ached for her, a woman I wished I could have known, she cast me off into the future with nothing but a name. A frightened little girl with no one, not even a record of her birth or relatives to find, slingshot through time. I stopped seeking after that. I burned the cabin to ashes and tried my best to move on. I feel more alone than I ever did before, but at least now I have some answers. Yours sincerely, Kate. Thank you, Kate, for sharing that deeply personal testimony. I hope that now you have found the answers you sought. You can make this strange world your home, unshackled from the chains of the past. Our last testimony. Dear Timothy, my name's Blake, and I'm breaking a promise that I made to my sister by writing this to you. But she's gone now, and it's just me. Maybe if I get this out, I can finally drop all the guilt. When we were kids, we took a family vacation to Disneyland Orlando. It's every kid's dream to go and stay at Disneyland. Ride the rides, see your favorite characters, and collect all their signatures in the little autograph book. It was a great time for my parents as well. My sister and I were old enough to enjoy the park independently, so our parents could spend some quality time together. They were two of the most disgustingly in love people I'd ever seen. We were such a happy family. While our parents were enjoying the resort pool, the two of us were out exploring, seeing how many character signatures we could collect and all the fantastic little details we could find around the park. But we explored a bit too much. We found our way into the part of the park that's off limits to guests. We didn't do it intentionally. It actually looked like part of the park until we noticed the pipes and industrial-looking doors among the prop sets and piled-up costumes. I don't think we should be here, I told my sister. She agreed, and we turned around to find our way back to the park proper. Standing before us was an old, tattered-looking Mickey Mouse costume. "Are you two lost?" came the low, squeaky voice of Mickey Mouse from inside the costume. "Yes," my sister said. "Can you help us?" "I can help you, aha," said the creepy Mickey. "But first, would you kids like my autograph?" he asked. We both obliged and tentatively handed over our autograph books. In bright red ink, he signed Mickey Mouse into our books and handed them back to us. Then, just as he said he would, he guided us back to the park. He ushered us through a door, and we entered the bustling resort. He gave us a slow wave and shut the door behind him. Both of us shook it off and went to find our parents. When we found them by the pool, they were in the throes of the biggest argument we'd ever seen. It was the only time we'd ever seen them talk to each other like that. Cursing, screaming, and causing a huge scene. Everything got worse after that vacation. Our parents became strangers. It wasn't even a full year before they were divorced. My dad drank himself stupid and was dead a few years later. Our mother turned into a distant, catatonic woman, taking every prescription pill the doctors peddled to her. When I tried to talk to my sister about it, I was convinced it was all our fault. She told me not to ever talk about it. I begged her, but she wouldn't. Maybe it was just her way of dealing with it. I lost her a few months ago. The only person that I could share this with. The only person who knew what it was like to have our parents taken from us by whatever the hell it was. Now, it's just me. Whenever I hear that stupid Mickey Mouse chuckle, I jump out of my skin. I'll curse that stupid park until the day I die. It took something from us all that day. Call it happiness or soul or whatever. I watched it get taken. I felt it go missing. Our innocence was lost forever. Kind regards, Blake. Thank you for that testimony, Blake. There is no greater cruelty than taking the innocence of a child. It is a grave and unnatural sin. I hope you have found peace. This concludes our broadcast for the evening. I'm your host, Timothy, and you've been listening to the Ghostly Broadcast, Paranormal Station. If you've enjoyed these testimonies and would like to tune into the latest ones as they are broadcast, consider liking, subscribing, and tapping the bell icon to be alerted when our latest broadcasts are live. You'll be supporting our work to bring you the testimonies of those who have brushed with the unknown paranormal parts of this world. Good evening, listeners, and tread lightly in among the spirits. Stay aware of the places where ghosts and ghouls prowl.